Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Analysis. Donald Trump has been sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. After losing the 2020 election, he returns to power, eager to start his second term. Critics worry that without the chance for a third term, Trump will push his ultra-conservative agenda more aggressively. He is now surrounded by far-right figures beyond traditional Republic centrists. Internationally, Trump promotes protectionism, isolationism, while being aggressive towards both allies and adversaries. Domestically, he opposed migrant refugees, liberals and the aggressive left. In his first days, Trump plans to use executive orders to bypass Congress. European governments, including Germany and UK, advocate for maintaining normal relations with the United States. However, this approach faces challenges due to Trump's tariff wars, demands for increased European defense spending, and unpredictable foreign policy. President Trump has declared the beginning of a golden age of America. However, experts have argued that while Trump is a skilled salesman, he may ultimately disappoint his supporters.
The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people.
People who voted for Trump sometimes invest this enormous hope that he will make the country completely different, that he will reverse whatever trend they're most upset about, whether it's the high number of foreign-born people or whether it's culture changing in ways that they don't approve of. And inevitably, and I must say with any president, not just Trump, a lot of those things are going to be disappointed. People get disappointed in one of the old sales pitches, and he's off to a new one. And maybe it's interesting, and maybe you want to follow his logic on it. And so even people who have been disappointed on a number of the past things, he gets the hook, like a great salesman, to intrigue them about what if this began to happen? Have you ever considered that America might, be off to new heights in this thing you've never even thought about? And before long, again, he's got their attention. He is the great attention getter.
US President Donald Trump has revoked nearly 80 executive actions from Biden administration and announced an immediate freeze on the new regulations and hiring. These moves aim to reduce the federal workforce and undo the previous administration's efforts. On Monday, Trump also announced an advisory group to implement significant cuts to the United States government and cancel various agencies, leading to immediate legal challenges. The hiring freeze is accompanied by a return to office order requiring many teleworkers to communicate 5 days a week. Experts have warned that these new restrictions and cost-cutting measures will likely drive many federal workers out of the government.
The first item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The second item, President Trump, is a regulatory freeze, as you announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration. The next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring, excepting the military and a number of other excluded categories, again, until full control of the government is achieved and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
Could you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Donald Trump moved swiftly to impose his will on the US government, taking steps to curb immigration/environmental regulations and withdraw from the International Climate Treaty. Ryan Chang has more on this.
The first item that President Trump is signing is the...
US President Donald Trump signed a flurry of executive orders Monday after he was sworn in, swiftly imposing his will on the US government and signaling a major departure from his Democrat predecessor, Joe Biden. He first signed a number of them in front of a crowd at Capital One Arena in Washington, then continued to do so in front of reporters at the Oval Office.
Pardons and commutations relating to events that occurred on January 6, 2021.
They included pardoning 1,500 of his supporters who attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, 4 years ago.
We hope they come out tonight, frankly.
Others declared a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border over illegal immigration and axed birthright citizenship for U.S.-born children of immigrants. Trump did not take immediate action on the economy or inflation. Those were the two issues that helped him win re-election. But he talked of imposing tariffs on Canada and Mexico in the near future.
We're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people. Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in. I think we'll do it February 1st.
Trump repealed 78 executive orders signed during the Biden administration, such as an order addressing risks from artificial intelligence, a 50% electric vehicle target by 2030, and Biden's removal of Cuba from the U.S. state sponsors of terrorism list. On equality and the environment, he axed at least a dozen measures that supported racial equity and fought discrimination against gay and transgender people. And Trump pulled the U.S. out from the Paris Climate Change Accord again. He withdrew the U.S. from the pact in his first term in office, an action reversed during the Biden presidency in 2021. Trump on Monday also signed an executive order to delay the enforcement of a ban on TikTok by 75 days.
If we wanted to make a deal with TikTok and it was a good deal and China wouldn't approve it, then I think ultimately they'd approve it because we'd put tariffs on China. Maybe. I'm not saying I would, but you certainly could do that.
Trump also froze hiring in the federal government and ordered its workers to return to office full-time. And sources say Trump's transition team asked more than a dozen senior diplomats to step down from their roles as part of a broader plan to replace nonpartisan civil servants with loyalists.
Trump's decision to pardon supporters who attacked the US Capitol on January 6, 2021 is sure to enrage police, lawmakers and those whose lives were put at risk during an unprecedented episode in modern US history. Meanwhile, Mr. Biden issued a preemptive pardon to 5 members of his family, having earlier pardoned a number of public servants who he said had been subject to ongoing threats and intimidation and potential retribution from the Trump's teams. Roughly 140 police officers were assaulted during the insurrection, with some sprayed with chemical irritants and others struck with pipes, poles and other weapons. 4 people died during the chaos, including a Trump supporter who was shot dead by police. Among those covered by the order were leaders of the far-right Oath Keepers and Proud Boys militant groups who were serving long prison sentences. This is what happened.
Yes, sir. First, we have a list of pardons and commutations relating to events that occurred on January 6, 2021.
Okay, and how many people is this?
I think this order will apply to approximately 1,500 people, sir.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutation?
Full pardon. We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research.
Okay.
Nice to see you again. So this is a big one. Anything you want to explain about this? We hope they get him. We hope they come out tonight, frankly. We're expecting it. Approximately 1,500 people. Six commutations.
Were there any cases you didn't know?
Donald Trump said that he would declare illegal immigration a national emergency, send troops to the US-Mexico border, and reinstate, and I quote, remain in Mexico policy as part of the sweeping immigration crackdowns.
First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country.
US border authorities said that they had shut down the outgoing President Joe Biden's CBP One Entry program. The program had allowed hundreds of thousands of migrants to enter the US legally by scheduling an appointment on an app. Existing appointments were cancelled, leaving migrants stunned and unsure of what to do. Naima Pratton has this report.
I, Donald John Trump.
As US President Donald Trump took office on Monday and began a sweeping immigration crackdown, migrants waiting in Mexico nervously checked the US government app known as CBP One. The program had allowed hundreds of thousands of migrants to enter the US legally by scheduling an appointment. Some 280,000 people had been logging into the app daily to secure an appointment as of January 7th. Then, on Monday, an alert came through. Existing appointments scheduled through CBP One are no longer valid. US border authorities confirmed they had shut down the app and cancelled appointments, leaving migrants like Nidia Montenegro from Venezuela in tears.
I waited 4 months in Tapachula. We were left in limbo. We don't know what to do. Really, the joy we had, it stops here. We don't know what we're going to do. We are left in limbo.
Montenegro says that she fled violence and poverty at home in Venezuela and survived a kidnapping as she traveled north into Mexico. She made it to the border city of Tijuana on Sunday for a U.S. asylum appointment on Wednesday to finally reunite with her son in New York. But it was too late.
Well, they are authoritarian and have every right to change the rules of the game, but they don't take into account everything we've done as migrants.
Montenegro is among thousands of migrants who had their hopes of legally reaching the US suddenly dashed ahead of their appointments. The move is one of the Trump administration's first measures aimed at curbing immigration. The American Civil Liberties Union said in a federal court filing on Monday that Trump's decision to end the CBP One program removed the only avenue to asylum at the US-Mexico border, as they gear up to fight Trump's agenda in court. Republicans recaptured the White House after promising to intensify border security and deport record numbers of migrants. Biden toughened his approach on immigration last year, and the number of migrants caught illegally crossing the border with Mexico fell dramatically. Asylum restrictions last June blocked most migrants crossing illegally from claiming asylum, instead encouraging them to use new legal entry programs, including CBP One.
On health matters, we saw that President saying he wanted to get America fitter and healthier again. Trump announced the withdrawal from the World Health Organization, saying the Global Health Agency had mishandled the COVID-19 pandemic and other international health crises. This is what a World Health Organization spokesperson had to say on the matter.
And has the clock started ticking? Maybe, Alessandra, you know, and does that mean...
The World Health Organization regrets the announcement that the United States of America intends to withdraw from the organization. WHO plays a crucial role in protecting the health and security of the world's people, including Americans, by addressing the root causes of disease, building stronger health systems, and detecting, preventing, and responding to health emergencies, including disease outbreaks, and often in dangerous places where others cannot go. We hope the United States will reconsider, and we look forward to engaging in constructive dialogue to maintain the partnership between the United States of America and WHO for the benefit of the health and well-being of millions of people around the globe. It's too early to say what are the consequences. We need really to look into it. What are the implications? But we will continue our work in trying really to get that funding that we need.
As the world braces itself for Trump 2.0, here are some global reactions from citizens sharing mixed views on Trump's return to the Oval Office.
ترامب أو غير ترامب كلهم عملة واحدة. ترامب أو بايدن أو جورج بوش أو اللي قبله كلهيته عملة واحدة بالنسبة للقضية الفلسطينية. وترامب بايدن بيختلفش عن ترامب. يعني ترامب اللي أجانا جديد كل الوزراء تبعينه هذول الجداد اللي حطهم كلهم موالين لإسرائيل. كلهم موالين لإسرائيل وبيدعموا إسرائيل.
بايدن كان له قرارات عديدة أراد من خلالها أن يوقف الحرب، لكنه لم يكن حاسم في هذا الاتجاه، وكان في ذات الوقت يدعم إسرائيل من خلال إرسال شحنات أسلحة كثيرة ويدعمها في كل المحافل الدولية. ترامب كان له موقف واضح جدا أنه لا يريد للحرب أن تستمر في غزة ولا يريد لها أن تستمر ربما في أوكرانيا أيضا. نأمل أن يكون هذا موقف جدي يؤدي في النهاية إلى هدوء دائم في قطاع غزة.
The world is a dangerous and a complicated place. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 years. Market meltdowns, 9/11. And you need a president who's serious and he's not serious, who is focused and he's not focused, who has world-class people around him and the people around him are not world-class. And it feels very dangerous and very scary.
It doesn't matter if I'm happy or not, or if anybody is happy. We're going to see what he's going to do for Israel and what he's going to do for America, mostly. I hope he's going to support Israel and every other country that fights evil people, like what's happening now.
Ну, хочется в это верить, ну, во-первых, потому что, как мне кажется, у него другая позиция, он все-таки направлен на решение внутренних проблем своей страны. И, надеюсь, с его политикой отстанут от нас. Вот. И то, по крайней мере, о чем он говорит и заявляет, дает надежду, что все-таки внимание переключится.
Это здорово, я считаю, здорово, что это их нам доказывают, так ерунда. Скопею рассказываю, что там это то и дело про это ЛГБТ. Надоело уже, честно говоря, мне лично. А это не будет, это хорошо, мне это не нужно.
А какое отношение вы хотите изменить? Вы считаете, что сильная Россия кому-то интересна? Никому не интересна сильная Россия, она же всех задавит. Отношение простое.
Yeah, I'm personally a big fan of Trump in the sense of he makes bold decisions when needed. It's hard to tell what's going to happen in the future, but I think going forward it's a good thing for America and a good thing for the world. So
I'm really worried about the climate. You know, it feels like Donald Trump's only thinking about the here and now, not the future of the world. And it's just a big concern for what's happening in the world, really. So we'll see. We'll see. You never know. It may be good, but I'm not convinced it's going to be a brilliant thing.
You know, it's a change, but I'm sure that left will counter it. It could bring something nice. You know, we have to come to a middle to make sure that everybody's concern is addressed.
Aber im ganz Allgemeinen glaube ich, dass es nichts Gutes bedeuten wird für niemanden, außer für die Reichen, die eh schon reich sind. So. Also ich denke mal, es werden graue Zeiten auf uns zukommen, so ein bisschen mittelaltermäßig, so dass man die Kultur zurückschraubt und dafür irgendwelche anderen Dinge wichtiger werden. So von daher.
Sehr viel Sorgen, Angst um die Zukunft, ja, mehr Isolation weltweit, was passiert, China, Amerika, Russland, also tatsächlich mehr Sorgen, vielleicht was den Gaza-Krieg betrifft, mehr Hoffnung, aber insgesamt auf jeden Fall ein negatives Gefühl, ja.
Pour nous, Européens, c'est très important puisque l'Europe va se retrouver isolée. On aura besoin de plus d'Europe, plus d'unité. C'est un challenge important pour nous actuellement.
Il veut restaurer un âge d'or américain, donc il va peut-être y arriver en plus, hein, c'est possible, hein, mais au détriment de beaucoup de transgressions et juridiques. Enfin, il va bafouer beaucoup de droits, que ce soit humain. Oui, l'OMS, il ne veut plus y participer. Enfin, l'OTAN, il va falloir qu'on paye en obligation du Trésor américain. Donc, enfin, c'est atterrant.
Disculpe que lo diga, pero no es tan fácil deportar personas. No es nada fácil. ¿Por qué? Porque en cada estado de los Estados Unidos son diferentes las reglas, las leyes, tal como en todo lo que es Norteamérica. Es sumamente diferente. No creo que va a poder deportar a todo.
Va a afectar mucho a la economía porque allá salen muchas remesas que envían familiares y por mandar muchas remesas muchas familias tienen trabajo acá.
La verdad está mal porque el Golfo de México siempre será el Golfo de México, así es prácticamente, y no tiene por qué andarlo cambiando, así es. Porque en principio está mal el señor este, así es, y pues prácticamente en muchas cosas está mal porque quiere cambiar cuestiones así a la ligera y rápida, pues más bien rápida, así es.
Joining me to discuss Trump's triumphant return and the storm of executive orders all the way from the US is Dr. Anne Speckhard, Director of International Center for the Study of Violent Extremism. Thank you, Anne. It must have been well, I could say an amazing time for Americans, those who are pro-Trump. Are we seeing a golden age for America, akin to what Ronald Reagan had?
No, I don't think so. We're seeing a big transition, a lot of changes, and we saw Trump very hurriedly pour out all these executive orders yesterday, do a transition at State Department that was rather abrupt. Usually they take a little bit more time to empty out all the politicals of the former and put the new ones in. We hope that the new ones had time to learn what they need to know to run the State Department and all our diplomacy around the world. And it's not a golden age. It's unpredictable, a little bit scary age because President Trump has said things that are very worrisome. He's made promises that are good. Let's see if he can fulfill those promises. I mean, I do have to give him credit that he did a good job in sending his envoy to work closely with Biden's envoy to give the same message to Netanyahu. And we are seeing at least short-term brokered peace in Gaza. But we saw his executive order yesterday removing funding to UNRWA and opening up a resupply of arms, which, you know, it doesn't look like a golden age to me.
Trump has presented himself as the peacemaker, touting himself to potentially win a Nobel Peace Prize. He said he could end the war in Ukraine in a matter of one day in office. It's already been a day. I haven't seen the war in Ukraine ended so far. Do you believe that Trump will bring peace to the world?
No, I don't. I don't believe that Trump will bring peace to the world, but I do believe that he will try as hard as he can to keep American troops from being deployed in foreign lands, and that he'll try to have the least amount of foreign troops overseas, which maybe is a good thing, but we've played an important role all these years, so that may really change power dynamics, and it may not be in a positive way.
America's been criticized in the past for being the world police, the international police, and there's even been films being made about this. Trump is a exceptional isolationist. He doesn't really care about what happens, and he's very transactional. Do you believe that the world needs America?
I believe the world needs America, and I think that despite all the complaints about the U.S. Acting as the world's policeman, and concerns that I and many Americans share about all the covert operations that are done all over the world, that none of us even voted in or are aware of, that if we step out of that role, and that may be the case with Trump, that we'll see other people step in, and then we'll see, how do you like that? How do you like China calling the shots? And do you feel that it's the beacon of hope and freedom and democracy? And certainly we have failures in our system, and certainly we have corruption, and we've had brutality from our military. We've had things that shouldn't have happened, but it may turn out a lot worse if it's others enacting this.
What's been the reaction of ordinary Americans waking up to all these executive orders? What is the kind of feeling? I want to get a sense of the feeling of ordinary Americans.
I don't think the feeling is new today. The feeling was a really sickened feeling for half of America that are really worried because they know that Trump doesn't endorse addressing climate change, that he is interested in trade wars, putting on tariffs. They don't believe that he is going to bring peace. They see him as supporting the war against Gaza and the continued killing of Palestinians. So there's been the depression and hopelessness and fear that we could even lose important elements of our democracy that won't be recovered, and certainly fear about the climate, because climate change is getting to a tipping point that we can't tip it back. At least that's what scientists are telling us. But there's another 50% of the country that's very happy and very hopeful.
Yeah, you've seen from all the executive orders that he's repealed and the ones that he's enacted, what has been the most kind of standout for you, and that's kind of really caught your attention?
Well, I would say about the war in Gaza, that it's really concerning, because Netanyahu probably correctly waited out the election and decided not to bring peace because he wants to stay in power. And that's the way he stays in power. But, now he's in a precarious position. He's lost part of his coalition. And, that Trump so clearly made these really strong orders on behalf of Israel and basically Netanyahu's government, to say that he was no longer sanctioning the settlers, who I've seen with my own eyes when I was in West Bank and Gaza, doing and saying terrible things, and that he is allowing resupply so strongly and cutting the funding to UNRWA. I don't know if that will really matter, but we know that Gaza is really suffering. There's people starving there.
Do you believe that because there's a lot of people saying that Trump was the difference. He's the one who kind of pushed Netanyahu over the edge and literally gave him an ultimatum: either you follow what I say, or they'll be held to pay in Israel if you don't follow this. Because he wants the peace to happen, but it's contradictory. You've seen settlements increasing, like you said. There's sanctions have been kind of lifted off certain individuals within the settlement community. You've seen pulling back from UNRWA. Are these very contradictory messages? And do we feel that later on that the truce actually will hold and stand the test of time, or is this just a ploy in the short term?
Well, I think that what we have to say about Trump is he's very egotistical. And you started out by saying maybe he wants to emulate Ronald Reagan and be remembered like Ronald Reagan. And those things can be used for our advantage. I mean, you know, it's never good to have a narcissist in power. But on the other hand, that he does have a big ego. He does want to bring peace in Ukraine, and he wants to bring peace in the Gaza conflict. So what brought Netanyahu to heel was that there was a joint message from both the Biden administration and the Trump administration of, you can't continue what you're doing. And, you know, I think Netanyahu was hoping to wait it out and see how much support he would get from Trump. And he's certainly getting a lot of support, but he's also getting the message that you've got to stop this war. You've got to come to some negotiated peace. And it looks like that, you know, and we can thank the Qataris for that. They've just steadfastly continued to hammer at this.
We're just hearing that Vivek Ramaswamy, the head of the Department of Efficiency, has just resigned, leaving Elon Musk in charge. And this is the department agency entrusted by President Trump to bring efficiency across the federal government to the tune of $250 billion. Do you find this concerning early on in his kind of presidency?
No, I think this is exactly what we're going to see in the Trump presidency. And we've seen it with Trump for a very long time, that he argues with people and gets jealous, and there's a lot of dissent, and then people move on. They're fired, basically. You know, the Trump's shtick, right? To fire people. And Elon Musk was already saying he didn't have any use for this gentleman. I'm afraid to say his name. And because I'm afraid I'll mispronounce it. But
it's Vivek.
Vivek, okay, Vivek. And the other thing is the department is going to be challenged. It's not an actual governing body, and if it is, it has to follow U.S. rules. It has to have transparency. It has to have appropriate representation. And Elon Musk has not set it up that way at all, and he's not operating it that way. So it'll probably be challenged and probably fall apart. So Vivek maybe made the face-saving choice to get out when he should.
You're seeing now one of the first executive orders was to expel mass expulsion of Mexicans or immigrants or illegal immigrants out of America. There's been a lot of support for this policy, and we've seen that across Europe as well. A lot of people leaning to the right in Germany, the AfD, in the UK, Stop the Boats. In many European countries, the right has now increased, and they've been emboldened by President Trump coming in. But do you think this is a realistic policy? You've seen one of our contributors saying that he can't deport us all, and this attunes to maybe millions of people. And would Trump be able to expel all these people, you know, get people behind his policy and build the wall between Mexico and the United States?
It's highly unlikely, and he's going to get a lot of opposition because our whole construction industry, our agriculture industry relies on illegal immigration. And it's really sad, actually, that illegals come and work here and that we don't have, you know, a real guest worker program that works for them. And certainly Americans are concerned about when they feel that they're competing for jobs with illegals, and even more so if they think that there's criminality. And so he'll have support for deporting criminals, known criminals. And what he really needs to do is get more judges on the case so that they can quickly evaluate asylum claims. And we do know that there are a lot of people coming through Mexico that are coached before they get there to try to make an appropriate asylum claim when they're not an asylee at all. And we need to find ways to address that. And we need to get good judges, not overloaded, enough of them, to try these cases quickly and make decisions. But for the illegal immigrants that are here and are peace-loving, I think they're going to find support from business because, people like their homes cleaned, they like their houses built, they like their food harvested.
We know that President Trump is very transactional, and this word is used. He's a business person. I've heard one senator last night saying that because of his transactional nature, he may kind of pull back on the Mexican immigrants where he sees that they're contributing to society, where he's seeing them that they, as you've said, the construction industry, to pull all that kind of labor out suddenly may collapse or may completely collapse certain sectors. And we saw this in the United Kingdom when we had the pulled out from the European Union. We saw a lot of people being taken out of the country. It had 5 years to be integrated, and after that, people have stopped coming. Our farms and farmers been complaining. Are we expecting similar situations to occur, or do you think that he's going to be true to his nature and be transactional on this point?
I think he'll be transactional, and I think you're absolutely right. So there's a lot of things that Trump has said that he's going to do that worry me. Like, I don't want to see trade wars. He talks about bringing our grocery prices down. Well, the price of everything's going to be raised if we can't buy our goods the way we are now from outside the country. And prices are going to raise if we don't have illegal immigrants working as they are now. And people will be highly inconvenienced and stressed, and he'll figure it out. And I think that, given he's with a cabal of extremely powerful and rich people, they'll stop him from many of the things that worry me. But he's going to bluster about it. And in these first days, he's going to, remember his first days last time around, wasn't he talking about building the wall, within days?
We saw that he wanted to build the actual wall itself. There's historians have said that he potentially surrounded him by, let's say, policymakers and the wrong sort of people. Now he's surrounded by his kind of people, and he wants to push this agenda. You've seen the man; he's come in, signed in so many executive orders. Now they say that his favorite word is the tariffs. Now he's going to slap on tariffs on Canada. He's going to slap on tariffs to the European Union, China itself, which he says is a considerable threat to the American economy. Do you think that there will be retribution from the likes of the European Union or other trading blocs coming together and really trying to harm America? I've heard the Australians looking at pushing taxes on orange juice from Florida just to hurt the underbelly of those conservative states. Do you think that retribution will come? Are we going to a global race to the bottom, as the EU minister said?
Absolutely. If we slap tariffs on, we've already seen that with visas. I remember a number of years ago when we put strong costs to enter the U.S. from Turkey, they put it right back on us. I was so surprised because I'd never had to pay to go to Turkey before. And now I'm seeing that from the UK. And, anything we do, we get it right back. It just takes a little time for the other side to organize to give it back to us. So, what I want to place my trust in, and, I'm definitely concerned for these next 4 years of what damage can be done. But the powerful people that are surrounding Trump and probably even controlling Trump have their interests. And so as long as he is catering to the interests of the very wealthy, which is don't collapse business in this country, don't make things so expensive that the normal people revolt, make the situation favorable for American business, probably we won't see a lot of these promises be enacted.
I'm going to bring things closer to home. We've got a special relationship with the United States of America. Trump is well known to be very fond of our royal family. He is fond of our golf courses, Scotland itself. Do you think that the special relationship between our two countries can endure?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that he's going to go around and bluster. I mean, remember him at the NATO conference? I don't remember which ambassador or perm rep he, pushed out of the way with his shoulder. He's going to continue to do things like that. But yeah, he needs his friends, and UK is probably going to continue to be his friend, and we'll see among the European nations. But we can count on Trump to bluster and to insult and to do things that are very self-interested. And I mean self-interested, not necessarily America interested, but he'll claim that they are.
We've also seen this special relationship already straining. We've seen the Chagos Islands. These are an archipelago with the US base in Garcia, I believe it's the name. I can't exactly get the full name. And the US base there, and you've got the British base there. Now they're bartering a deal or doing a deal with the Mauritians to return this land back to Mauritius itself. Trump has come out and said this base is extremely important to American interests, for American sovereignty. Do you think that this issue of the base in those islands will have a kind of consequential effect on the relationship?
Well, I think we're going to see Trump do anything that can make him look to the common people like, I'm making America great again. I mean, we saw all this rhetoric and claims, I mean, really dangerous claims about Greenland. And, so yes, he's going to do things and claim things about Mauritius, about, anywhere in the world that looks expansionist, looks like, we're the most powerful country in the world. But, will he actually carry it out? Probably not. But that's his trademark, to make, outrageous claims that make everybody, go into a flurry of action, and, things don't necessarily happen.
So would you say that the kind of annexation or the takeover of Panama, which Trump in his own inauguration, literally, being the president of the United States, you've just been inaugurated, put your hand on the Bible. To me, it seemed like a declaration of war against Panama. You've seen Greenland, which Trump has interest in. Obviously, he's seeing the threats coming up from Russia, the landmass that's connecting to Russia, the Chinese, and he sees that as a threat. He sees that there's potential oil, there's potential mineral resources in Greenland. He's offering to buy it or take over from Greenland or do a transactional relationship with the people of Greenland, which is a kind of principality of Denmark and Panama. You see that there. You've also got Canada, with the fall of Justin Trudeau, over these kind of tariffs that have been potentially going to be slapped onto Canada, 25%. Do you think this is bluster, or do you believe that he would actually fully go through with these threats on these three countries?
I think if it's only up to Trump, he might do it. He's a little bit out of touch with reality on some things. I mean, we saw the Danish officials countering this and, sort of aghast, like, well, we don't really think that the US would do this, but, and, I think that that's Trump's effect on everyone of, would he really do it? And, time will tell. But hopefully the people surrounding him will stop him, and he'll get what he wanted out of it, that, he's got his sound bites, he's all over the press, he looks like the big man, and he'll blame somebody for why he couldn't do it.
Now, I want to bring it back to the inauguration. I saw a priest there, I saw a Jewish rabbi there. I did not see a Muslim chaplain or a Muslim representative at Trump's inauguration, which is kind of normal to have a representation from the Muslim faith. Approximately 2 billion Muslims globally, 5 to 6 million people in the United States claim to be Muslims themselves. What do you think the next 4 years are going to be for Muslims in America and globally 2 billion Muslims around the world?
I think this is one of the biggest concerns about Trump, that he uses rhetoric that can really inflame people and can even inflame them to carry out violent extremism. And so for your viewers, I would say, we have elected in, unfortunately, an Islamophobe. And this is a guy that last time around talked about, I think, that axis of evil, and prevented Syrians, anybody born in Syria, to even come to our country. I think Iraqis were prevented. I remember the Austrian ambassador in the country that we were in was like, oh, well, my son can't go to America anymore. He's Austrian, because he had been born in Syria. And, just these blanket anti-Islamic moves, we're going to continue to see, and we're definitely going to continue to see rhetoric of that type. In his last go-around, I think he canceled a lot of grants from Department of Homeland Security, and he really wanted to focus only on militant jihadism. He didn't want to look at domestic violent extremism from white supremacist groups. So I would expect that to continue, and that's worrisome.
Thank you. On that point, Dr. Anne Speckhard, Director of International Center for the Study of Violent Extremism, thank you very much for that important contribution. And today we were discussing the triumphant return of Donald Trump as the President of the United States of America. Definitely what we're going to know is it's going to be an extremely interesting 4 years. I've been Arfan Ali. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. This has been Analysis.